Let's get in Akhil Jindal, President of Welspun Group, to talk about the order win that they have managed. I'm guessing it's official now. Akhil, good to have you. Thanks so much for joining in and congratulations. Just that we got various numbers. What's the actual size of the order that you won? And I believe it's a combination of 2 or 3 orders that combine to give you this large one.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. In fact, this is an order almost of 1,200 crores. And this takes our order book to almost 6,300 crores, which of course do not exclude the Q4 production and the tonnage that we have done. And as you rightly said, this is a very large order for the company like us, and especially in a given market where things are going a little difficult. A lot of customers have kept their capex plan on hold. So I think this is quite a critical order, and this takes us to almost like 6,000 crore, which takes us to 9 months kind of a visibility. So it's like almost 15-18% of our annual production orders.
Does this constitute about 25% of your total order book? How does it add up?
See, as I mentioned, largely it has come from one of the large international customer, and there are all, of course, small orders from the domestic one, which are not too meaningful. But all in all, as a size, 1,200 crores order out of 6,000 crores is quite significant. So our annual production.
More such orders coming in, because the news that we've got is that especially from the US market and the oil and gas space, there are very few orders that are being actually won. So do you see more potential here?
See, a lot of bidding has taken place in the last 3-4 months, and to that extent, yes, we will soon be getting new orders also, hopefully. I mean, of course, till it's done, it's not done. Yeah. So we'll try and get.
But what's the size of orders that you've bid for there?
We have bidded for almost like 5,000 crores, out of which, let's say, 1,200 crores have materialized to us. We are hopeful to get another 1,000 crores shortly. But obviously, it all depends upon the luck at that point of time. So I think as a company, we have done good. These orders mean good order visibility for the near future, and to that extent, our production would be almost at a peak.
So, non-US, Akhil, what are the kind of order bids that you are doing? Is that market hot enough right now, or it's essentially US from which the chunk of the orders are coming?
See, obviously, US becomes a very key market for us because we have a large production facility there.
Right.
But Saudi Arabia is an equally important market because again, we have a local base there, local production facility. And to that extent, I think between India and US and Saudi, these are 3 things that I think which are very important for us.
Okay, and what's happening in the Saudi market? I mean, you've spoken about US, right? That's where you bid for maybe 4,500 crores worth of orders. Yeah. What's happening with Saudi?
Saudi is also important for us, as I mentioned to you. Saudi is again where we have a good production facility, and to that extent, Saudi market is also becoming very critical. We have now got approval from Saudi Aramco also for oil and gas. So not only water, we would also be doing a lot of oil and gas orders in Saudi.
So have you placed any bids, so on and so forth, in Saudi? Water, oil, etc.?
Yeah, of course. A lot of bidding has taken place.
Okay.
So, bidding is a kind of an everyday phenomenon in our company. So, shortly we will be getting good orders from Saudi as well.
What about the average margins in these orders? Because as we given to understand, there has been some pressure for private companies.
Yeah. See, margins are, yes, you're right, because of overcapacity in the Indian market, there has been margin issues. But to that extent, I think when we deal globally, the global orders are good size, good bidding. And to that extent, there is certainly a huge impetus on the margin within our company. Sometimes you have to book the orders because you have the capacity and you have got a large capacity base. But at the same time, there is an equal balance between the booking the orders and also making the margin. So I think all in all, if you see, our orders has been in a decent margin base. And as I mentioned, the US market is good.
What is the average margin range, if you can give us a number?
Difficult to say one number, but I think by and large we have maintained our margin in the last 7-8 quarters. So I think going forward, that would be our focus. In a short blip, there could be some margin issues here or there, but that's not something that drives the market. So I think all in all, we would see a sustainable margins.
So Akhil, 6,000 odd crores, I believe, is the current order book size that you have, with the kind of order wins that you would have, and of course the execution rate at which you normally operate at. Is this the target that you would have for the next 2 quarters, 6,000, 6,500 crores, or can it bump up higher?
Look, don't read too much between the 6,000 numbers as a unilateral number.
Sure.
I think what is important for us is the tonnage. The total tonnage as we have today, as I mentioned to you, is almost like 900,000 tons, which of course do not exclude the Q4, which might be another 200,000 tons. So let's say by the time the year ends, financial year ends, we would be close to like 700,000 tons roughly, which I would say for a million ton kind of a production plan is like 70% booked, which is like 9 months almost. So I think all in all, it looks decent to us. So
annual, I mean, we are at the end of FY12. Just a ballpark estimate of what kind of growth figures do you believe to report for FY12 as a year? And would FY13, by virtue of the fact that you were bidding in Saudi and the US and the market seems to be heating up again, would FY13 over FY12 be a much better year than what FY12 would be or has been over FY11?
And also whether the first half will be better than the second half. I mean, where will order flow be stronger?
I think, difficult to say on a quarter-to-quarter basis, but on a sustainable basis, as I mentioned, we would be doing close to a million ton in the next year. This year, we would be ending somewhere around 850 to 900,000 ton. So easily 10% growth on the tonnage front, which of course will reflect in the bottom line. The plate side, we are doing good. Things have improved on the plate side considerably. From a 300,000 ton, 400,000 ton to almost 600,000 tons of production now. So I think all in all, if you ask me, as we go along, the company has sustained in a difficult environment. And if it's sustained in a difficult environment, I think it can even sustain in a,
Okay, aside of all that's happened with the business as well, you've got that clean chit as well. The question mark really is, would the promoters now look at creeping acquisition to increase their stake? Because post the PE deal, there has been a significant dilution in the promoter holding as well. Would that happen in probably the next fiscal?
I think, this is certainly something which is possible over a period of time. I can't put a date or a time to that.
Sure.
But yes, creeping acquisition is something which is required. You are absolutely right. Promoters have come to a level in the mid-30s. So given an opportune time, they would certainly look forward to increase their stakeholding to an appropriate size. So, obviously there is a 5% creeping acquisition limit every year. So as and when
FY13, I'm guessing you're saying you can't attach a timeline, but a safe assumption, FY13 maybe a 4.9% acquisition.
In the first
you are putting words in my mouth.
I am. I'm actually telling you I am. What do you think FY13?
There also is the fact that the market is right now in conditions where, promoters would get encouraged to perhaps go out and buy. So over the next 2 months or next 2 quarters perhaps, you think conditions would be conducive for that kind of an event?
No, I think, as I mentioned to you, this is a decision entirely of the promoters, but at the same time, they are very, very concerned about the fact that they are in mid-30s, not over 50s or 60s. So there is certainly a big rationale for increasing the stake. When it will happen, it's difficult for me to point it out.
Do they feel the time is right now?
Yeah, but I think the timing is decent.
So 5% in FY13.
5% in FY13 is something that they should certainly try.